Hello and welcome to this new tutorial where I want to show you some sounds I made in my latest Backbass Heavy Trap. It is available at Loopmasters. Try the demo song, it is really cool. What I want to show you is this little project here. So this is the project, this is the groove, and I must tell you first that for the most of the sounds I used Serum in this pack. And if you are interested in this pack, please note that it contains 89 bass loops, but those are split up into sub and flat loops, which means the followings. In the bass loop folder there is the same loop without sub and with sub, so it is important if you purchase it and see that you have almost the half number of the bass loops, so please note this. So let's start with the kick. I would like to just give you an overview instead of a tutorial because there are a lot of sounds here. For the kick and the sub I use the same operator patch. So it's basically a big sine wave. And I use the pitch envelope to make transients, and I also used another layer for the transient. So this is the transient operator. So this is the basic dummy, the basic kick drum, and with the transient, the tummy is really basic. As I said, it's a sine wave, and the pitch envelope gives some really nice transient and really nice boom for the kick. And for the transient I use two oscillators modulated with a third one. So these are the two oscillators which are going out, which goes out, and I modulated it with a sawtooth. So without the modulator, and I also use the band bass filter with a really huge envelope, filter envelope. This gives the clickiness of the sound. And what is important here is again a pitch envelope, but this time it is really slight. Okay, so this is only the transient, and as you can see I use some frequency shifting, EQing, saturator, just as I said before, and some basic EQing, you know, to cut out the middle bass frequencies and stuff. It's not that important. Signal analyzers. Okay, that's cool. Okay, the snare is a little trickier. As you can hear and see, this is an operator patch again, it's not a sample. So only one oscillator here with a simple sine wave, a sine 4, modulated with a user-defined waveform, which is basically a kind of noise stuff here. And some high frequency, high pass filter with some high pass filter, and also I used an LFO with a sample and hold waveform to, you know, give some randomness to the sound. And again, a little pitch envelope to make it transient. Okay, so what is more important here are the filters and the erosion. I cut out the low frequencies and some high frequencies and gave some noise to it. So without the noise it sounds really funny, but in some cases it can be really helpful too. So with the erosion it is really cool, clappy sound, some EQ, saturator and the reverb. Okay, So the hi-hats, for both the open hi-hats, which sounds this, and for the close hi-hats, I use the followings. If you want to make cool hi-hats, use a high-pitched sine wave and modulate it with noisy stuff. You know, just draw in some random harmonics for the operators. And the last operator should be a basic wave like a sine wave or a sawtooth or a square, doesn't really matter, with really high pitch, really high chorus. So this is the basic of creating hi-hats, and the same happened here when I made this open hi-hat. So basic sine wave with 14 cores, this random waveform, another random waveform, and another sine wave with 19 cores. Some chorus without the chorus, and the filter, it sounds funny again. So so if you want to make hi-hats, a chorus is a very important effect here. As you can hear, it's more like a computer bleep or something, but with the choruses and the filter, it sounds very cool. Don't forget to experiment with frequency shifters. Gives really nice result. Some EQing again to cut out the low frequencies and the reverb again. So let's check the close hi-hat. It is the same method. I don't know really if it's the same preset, just let's check it. No, because the first oscillator here is another user-defined, another user, and the saw wave. Oh, and don't forget to check the rootings. It can create really nice, interesting results. So let's go through them. Very nice glassy sound. So, but we need this close hi-hat stuff here. EQing another frequency shifter. A very important effect. Chorus. And I use a transient shaper, a transient master here. So this is cool. I have another cool sound here. It's a breathy hi-hat. And the magic is also done with the frequency shifter, because without the frequency shifter it sounds this. It's cool sound on its own, but without the frequency shifter it doesn't really sound the same. And I wanted to make it breathy. You know, I didn't want to use that hey, hey sound, but I wanted to make it a little different. Okay, EQ, cut out the high frequencies, 2 choruses. Very funny again without the choruses. And the steps are again the same, a basic sine wave modulated with user-defined waves, noisy stuff, and a simple sine wave at the end. So basically it is only one oscillator which goes out, and that one is the A, oscillator A, and these 3 above are the modulators. Okay, I have this vocally sound here. I really love this because some people think it is a vocal sample, but it's not. It's, as you can see, an operator preset again. Very cool. The same method, you know, but this time the routing is this cubish stuff here. You have 2 oscillators, the A and C. C is modulated by D and A is modulated by B. So you have a simple sine wave here in A. The B is a user-defined. The C is a user-defined, and D is a simple sine wave again. We have a slight pitch envelope here to make it It starts from a lower frequency and goes up to a higher in an instant, in 600 milliseconds. And I use an LFO also to make the sound vibrate like a real vocalist would do. Vibrato. Very cool. Some chorus again and some filters. Okay, so these were the drum sounds, and as you can see I made all of the sounds by myself, which is very cool. I really love making drum sounds, percussions and stuff, and Operator is a perfect tool for making them. I have this bend bass here. As you can see in the MIDI page, I have a G1 and a G0 note, and it uses a portamento to glide from the first note to the second one. And what I used here was my own voice. So how to show it? Let's click off the filters and the other oscillator. Oh, and the sync also. So this was my own voice saying, I don't know what really. Yo, something like this. So I imported it into Serum, added some effects. Very cool stuff. This is really awesome in Serum. You can import everything. And this reverb filter is my favorite one. It makes some noisy sound, very dynamic noisy sound. And I use the sync, which is basically a Foreman shifting stuff here. Very cool. Okay, so basically this was it. I really recommend using the LFOs. You can create very exciting results if you just tweak them. And this was this. And oscillator B was a user-defined oscillator. I made the first and the last one. I just draw in some random harmonics here and some random phases for them, just like for this one. I use these graphics tools. Very cool. And I also morphed them from the first one to the second one through 256 cycles. It is very cool. It's a very handy feature in Serum. So this was this bendy stuff. I have two versions from this sound. This is the basic version and this is the modulated version. This is the same patch, and what I used here is I imported one sound from my old Growl Bass pack, dubstep Growl Bass pack, and this was this. This pack is available at Loopmasters, Dubstep Monster Bass. I'm sure you already heard about that. And this is the 219th Growl Bass sound. So what I did here is I imported it into Serum. This is the waveform of it. And I just started to tweak it. I just started to play with it. First I used the mirror warp tool. And then I tried to find the perfect wavetable position. I also use this oscillator B, but it is not really important. It sounds the same without it. But the most important stuff here is this ring modulation filter. And I modulated the filter cutoff using LE47. And what I tried to follow is use one LFO, one or two LFOs, and just modulate a lot of stuff there, like the filter cutoff and wavetable position, warping tool, etc. And in the FX page there are a lot of things to modulate it with. Some chorus and this multiband compression is very handy. I really recommend using them all the time. So it's very cool, and I also made another version of it to make the sound, make the groove, the loop, the whole stuff more interesting. I really don't know what is the difference. I believe I just only tweak the mirror knob here and the wavetable position. Something like that, and maybe this ring modulation cutoff knob here. Because all the other effects are the same, and basically the warping tools are the same, everything is the same. You know, I just tweaked some parameters, tweaked some settings here to make the sound really different, and I think I made a cool work here. So if you loved this tutorial, this little overview, go to Loopmaster's site, check Bass Heavy Trap or Dubstep Monster Bass or anything you want. I'm glad you checked this little tutorial. I was Dan Larsson, see you next time, bye bye.